on YouTube. Wednesday, July 23rd. What's going on, Riley? It's okay. And today is a disappointing day. Um, I have to go over the PM session from yesterday as well as today's trades in the morning. So I'm just gonna go over PM first. All I'm gonna say is that the past 2 days have been basically just minor breaks of my rules, which have cost me, and it's cost me not necessarily monetarily. I mean, yes, it's cost me monetarily. However, we just basically keep our we keep our momentum with the our wins eliminate our losses eliminate our wins because we're only aiming for about $200, risking about $200 a day. So it's okay, baby. It's okay. She's going crazy because it's storming. Damn, it's storming for real. What the hell? Hopefully my bonds out there is gonna be alright. Regardless, let's just go over yesterday's session. So I saw this crazy ass dump on the New York session. I was like, alright, I'm gonna look for some longs. I want to see us take out this liquidity and this 1 hour wick, experiment with it. So holy moly. I come in here, I see SMT at the lows. We have a 5-minute order. Well, this is later, so we'll just give it a second. So don't look at these. All I'm seeing is this. So I see my 2 fair value gap setup. However, I think we had rejection like off the top of this candle. So I didn't we did have rejection off the upper, like right at the high of that fair value gap. So like, all right, I'll just enter right away on that next candle open. Stop loss below that low. With no room to breathe. That was kind of the mistake here. I didn't give my stop loss any room to breathe in this 2-minute fair value gap that we wanted. So yeah, no, we got stopped out there for about $50 loss. And that shit was bread and butter. It was gonna go straight to our TP market maker buy model. Pretty simple to the highs. So I'm like, all right, fuck, we missed that first trade. We're down. We didn't miss it. We lost it. We entered at stop loss too tight and we got punished for it. So then I was like, all right, let's look for another entry in this 250 macro, which is absolutely retarded. Why am I trading this 250 macro once the day's over once we take this? Day's over. So we come down, pump lower. I think we tap in this 5-minute order block, get more sell side, and we want to go higher because of that crazy dump we had that morning. So I'm like, all right, but look for, I believe it's on a 2-minute. Yeah, oh no, 3-minute. So I'm looking for 2 for value gap set. Okay, where is this actually then? Yeah, 5-minute. I'm looking for 2 for value gap setups to take us higher. Maybe the first presented slowly, going throughout the session. But since I'm so clouded in my mind about this trade not working out, and then also having potentially something in here I probably talked about, I was looking, I was chasing price. We didn't get any sell side sweep. I counted this as an internal sell side sweep, but we just wanted this order block on the 5-minute, and then just to consolidate around at this high, accumulate, drop lower, just a bunch of trapping. There's nothing to trade there. So that was a lesson learned. Then I lost 150, so about like $200 on that day. And yeah, that was the day. It wasn't good. I missed. I missed this on New York session. My double for value gap to the downside right here as well, and I just got punished for it. So I'm gonna kind of get into the philosophy of it after this. I just want to get these losses and this out the way. So coming into New York this morning, I wasn't necessarily bearish. However, I need to be more attentive. So going into I noticed we have our SMT. We had a 1 hour order block fill, and then we start to dump. So I'm looking for shorts, sleep out some buy side, and then to go short. So, our first setup is right here. We have an SMT at this internal SMT on right here on right there on the 30-second, I believe, or it's a 15-second. On the 15-second, we get a 2 for value gap setup right there. That takes us lower into our sell side, and then more sell side down there. So I missed that first sell side, and once I saw that, I was like, okay, I kind of want to see us explore this daily for value gap, maybe take out this low over here, and I'm gonna be patient until I see some buy side, and then my model play out on a smaller time frame. So what do we get here? Accumulation of all these orders, accumulation, and then we sweep this high on ES right here. So there's my SMT, and I'm like, all right, bet I'm priming for shorts now. I'm just gonna instantly go down on this smaller time frame, because when I see these 1 minute SMTs and I have a good draw on liquidity, etc., I'm like, all right, let's just get straight to it. So then I see we have what's it called, one fair value gap, and we have our second fair value gap, and then once we basically close out of it, like once we consolidate around it, I'm like, all right, I'm comfortable to take this, because I would want to see us break lower. We broke lower. I was up like hella. I risked like $100 for, let's see here, like it was quite a bit. Hold on a second. Yeah, I risked $100 for quite a bit. Well, no, it's 7, so 150. Basically my risk on the day for about 500, and it did not work out. We came down and we just got back break even. And then what did that trigger in my mind? That I was like, fuck, man. Once again, I got break even, and I just took a really, like, I would say a good loss. This is my strategy. I want to see that, but I just failed to realize that this is our SMT low, so we don't really need to take it again. So yeah, that basically knocked out that sell side, and once we tap in this order block, that's when I should have took full profits. But it's just really disappointing to see that kind of play out and then hit break even. So once I'm break even, I'm like, fuck, oh my god, my mental is like, I can already feel I should lock myself out. I'm not really feeling good. But this was a break even trade, so I saw risk on the day. I was like, all right, let's try and find something else to lower. So then once you take out this SMT buy side, I'm trying to find something. I can feel myself trying to find something. And I know I'm saying it's all hindsight that, my mistakes, I'm calling it out, but it's just I still want to make the same mistake over and over, even though I know I'm doing it. So, once we get this break, 2 fair value gap sweep, and this first presented, I want to see these relative equal lows getting taken out. But, like I said, this is an SMT low, and it's going to be a stronger low. So we don't need to take it out, and we just take stop immediately, after some consolidation. So what am I learning about, these days? First of all, I'm learning that I can't handle when the market does what I want to see, but I can't be a part of it. And that's like a big mental tax, especially like here, like this. This should have held. This was a double for value gap on the 1 minute, and it should have held and broke us lower. It had a good win. It would have been good, but it didn't want to do that. And that's kind of my fault for, not even my fault, but it is my fault. It's not my fault for recognizing that, and not taking opportunities like this that are much more clear. SMT at the high sweep. There's our sweep, and then we just dump, and then we get our first presented. And I was like, okay, we're tapping the upper of the two minute one, not 2 minute, on the 1 minute. So we can't really enter 2 for value up on the 1 minute. However, this could just be like larger time frame, like 2 minute, potentially not even a 3 minute for value gap. And then we had the SMT right that high, and then once you see that, I believe it's right there. Yeah, like 1040 about there. Once we get that, easy sell to the downside, because we don't have to come back up anymore after this SMT buy side sweep right there. So it's like, why am I forcing this trade? This one still makes a lot of sense and should have been a good trade. I should have took my profit. I was up more than $200. I should have took my profit and been happy with the day. But I decided that I wanted that sell side, and I just wasn't right. I'm not mad about being greedy or being stingy with what I'm risking, because I risk good, and I just wanted that take profit to be hit. So if it didn't get hit, I wouldn't take my profit. I would just move it break even. So what am I learning? Like, look at what these have in common. We push up, I either get break even, stopped on the move, and then what happens after? I try and find another trade that basically goes with the same thing, and then it gets stopped out. Like, this is quite literally the exact same day, just opposite bias. And it's struggle. It's a struggle. So I'm gonna reevaluate. I'm gonna reevaluate right now. I'm gonna kind of see what I can do here. So all my top steps, yes, I'm 1200 in drawdown. And I said I was gonna be risking that, $200 to 150 per trade. But I think I'm just gonna size up to one more $500 trade. Because I know what I need to be trading. It's just I don't know what it is. I want to be able to what's it called? Find something after for example it presented itself like today. And if I can just eliminate that habit of, I would basically say, I would call it revenge trading, but it's not necessarily like revenge trading because I'm not like losing a trade. Well, I guess it is revenge trading. Like in these cases, it'd be revenge trading. But it's mainly just not identifying my model and then just executing on it, especially early. Why am I waiting so long in the session to place a trade once we take out all our buy side and sell side? Like, this is shit. Every single day after we've had our move, it's been shitty price action. So what are you expecting? What are you expecting to see in this price action? Monday was a beautiful day and we should have made bank, but we didn't because our risk was so tight. So yeah, I'm just going to do one trade a day. I'm gonna mark it out. I'm gonna mark it out. I'm just gonna do this. So how much risk do I have left? So I'm down $1,200. $1,200. These are parameters. No. All right, so 1,200 is my starting balance. Okay, and let me just 1,200 is my starting balance, basically. And I'm not like trying to basically slow roll out of this with risking $200 per trade, and then not risking, but aiming for $200 per trade, because every win and say I break a rule and something like that, it kind of forces me to be, well, the good thing about risking $200 and making $200 is that, you keep your risk fixed. You're aiming for something easy, with like a 1-to-1 basically. But what is this causing me to do? This is causing me to de-risk to like $100 to $50 a trade, so my take profit is basically $200. But I'm just gonna reevaluate and not do it that way, and I'm just gonna basically because look, this week was thinking about money and just being stupid with my trades, just like this. And this size, the only reason I had this size is because I had basically a fresh account. There was no drawdown. If I was risking this size on days like this, I would be, account would be gone. So that first week sent us back. And then we came off with, that we started doing this $200 per trade. And we came up $239. Imagine our risk was still the same, $500. Let's say, if I'm risking $500 a trade, this would be $1,000. So both of these losses would be gone, and I'd basically be at, minus $200 drawdown. Take a $500 loss, I'd be in $700 in drawdown. Take a $500 trade, let's say hits 1 to 2 another 1,000. That's up $300. Right here, a little win. I'm just gonna do one. So then we're up 1,300, and then yesterday would have been, so basically $300 would be my P&L if I'm risking that $500 fixed. But that's kind of besides the point. It's the fact that I need to keep my risk, to a certain point that's not sustainable, but that makes sense with my wins and losses. My wins should be bigger than my losses, and right now they're not that, because I'm just aiming for that $200 a day. So if I risk, basically, if I risk 500 next trade, that'll either put me at minus 1,700 or or, you know, X amount. I could say minus 200. Okay. So, you know, I'm keeping that fixed 1,000, like 1 to 2 kind of in my head. And say we get, you know, say we take that loss and it's, you know, it's just a fat loss, you know, 1,700 accounts basically gone. We still have $300 left. $300 of risk left. You know, if we go to 200, that $500 of risk will stay the same. However, if we get to minus 1,700, then 2 times 150 per trade, because you have $300 left of drawdown, and then you can have 2 trades of 150 to try and make back you know, something in that sense. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. It is Wednesday, so, you know, I will do this for the end of the week. And, you know, if I blow that account, if I blow both of these accounts, I don't really care. The only thing I care about is, you know, trying to, you know, basically know my model works. And it works. It works. You know, I came up with this shit from my own head, basically, like, and just kind of, you know, blabbling around with a bunch of different mentors, and then, you know, eventually combining something into, you know, something I like to see that works. But the only mistake I'm making is, you know, missing it and then trying to find it again, even though it's not there, or it's less probable, less clear, forcing it almost. That's the only thing. And yeah, you know, and I feel like if I'm able to get back to, because right now basically I'm at the same risk that I started right here. These entire 2 weeks have been completely nailed out by basically 2 bad days of being dumb with my risk, being dumb with my trades. So if I completely, you know, if I give myself an incentive that, you know, if I be dumb, this account is gone, then my brain will be like, all right, time to switch a different thing, and we can't do this. But, you know, trading's not hard. It's just the mental. You know, I know my model. I know I need to see. It's just, you know, that mental struggle that I'm kind of trying to fight through. But, you know, we'll see. You know, this is my plan for this coming days, and, you know, we're gonna see how it goes. You know, if we win that trade, then it's gonna be, you know, not even la la land, because, you know, we're still gonna be trying to figure out how to get back in the game. You know, how to get it up. Because that will be at negative 200, and then we'll just keep our risk at that 500. Because realistically, you know, I don't like when I keep my risk small, because I can take more stupid trades, like I did today. Like, I didn't put on full risk on that first trade, and I got stopped because, well, I didn't put full risk on that trade. I put like $100 on it. And why am I putting $100 on it when, like, bro, what is this shit? 7-3, 21-7-3-2-5. Yeah, and then we want to sky to the moon. So, like, if I just went the other way, we'd be good. But I didn't, so, you know, we were not good. But that's just how it is. It's just funny. Let me see this real quick. If I had 7-3, wait, what was it? 7-3-2-5. What was that stop loss? My stop was right above here, 18325. So keep in mind that, you know, you can't really risk 25 contracts on Top Step, but 27 contracts, or what I think that'd be like 3 minis about, or 2 minis. You know, right there, that's your $1,000 day. You know, you don't need more than that. You know, you take your 1,000, and then you let the rest run, or, you know, however. That's not how it works, but you know what I'm saying. Like, that's much better than risking 129 to make 400. I know your risk is up and everything else is up, but the way I started this account was risking that $500. So why would I, you know, go back and lower my risk and try to get out of this drawdown, you know, peacefully? No, you know, we're finna just do the same thing how I need to do it. So regardless, we're gonna see. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna probably do a back test session, you know, in the afternoon and see what's going on. And yeah, you know, a little more mental stuff. But yeah, nah, this ain't over yet. Getting back to it. I'll see you later.